So you keep hearing about strength training. They tell you you have to lift weights as you get older, but you're not sure where to start. This is the video for you because I'm going to be discussing how to start lifting weights as a woman and the importance of why, as women, we need to be lifting those weights. If this is your first time clicking on my pretty face, thank you. Make sure you subscribe. How am I going to ask y'all to subscribe? Not even tell you my name. My name is Leslie. I am your favorite nurse yogi. I am a registered nurse with 12 years of healthcare experience, and I'm also a certified yoga instructor with 5 years of teaching experience. So like I said, we are going to talk about how to start lifting weights as a beginner because I had a conversation maybe a few months ago now where somebody was like, I lost all the weight and I know I should be lifting weights, but I don't know where to begin. And let's be honest, right? Can we talk like we friends? It can be intimidating. And I'm somebody, I have been skinny my whole life and also have had a muscular build, and I didn't this is going to be a long video, but what I'm getting at is I started doing strength training once I graduated high school. I realized I just wanted to be stronger in my body because even though I looked healthy, that's a whole thing in itself. What does looking healthy mean, right? I didn't feel strong. And if I'm going to be really honest with you all, I feel stronger now more than ever after having 2 kids. As I was thinking about this video, I was like, yeah, like I have never felt this strong. My body has actually gained more muscle. And yeah, so let's get into this, y'all. So yeah, when that person shared that with me, they're like, I don't know where to start. I know I need to do it, especially maybe you have lost weight. And so now you're like, all the weight is gone. And this is the prime time, y'all. If you've lost a ton of weight, especially, you need to be lifting. And then if you are a girly like me, where you've been skinny your whole life and people are like, oh, why are you going to lift? You're going to get bulk. Don't listen to them, because as we age, we tend to, you tend to hunch like this, right? And that's because, one, we're not sitting up straight. The reason we're not sitting up straight, though, is because we have no core strength. And core strength is not just sit-ups. Core strength is simply bringing that belly button towards your spine. That's my yogi voice. It just something comes over me every time I teach a yoga class. But bringing that belly button towards your spine, rolling your shoulders up, back, and down, bringing that rib cage down, relaxing the shoulders, relaxing the jaw. Again, belly button towards the spine. If I came up to you and I went bam to your abdomen, I want it to be like, I want it to give me a little hardness. It don't gotta be complete like steel, but a little hardness. And that's something I do every day when it comes to core. I am engaging my core every single day, multiple times, quadruple times a day, because I understand the importance of core, because I don't want to be like this. And so I'm always like, I got to be sitting up. I got to sit up, because sitting up is core strength, right? And just a backstory, like I said, I'm stronger now post 2 kids than I was prior. I had 2 C-sections, so they cut your girl open. My kids are 18 months apart, so I was pregnant for 2.5 years because I also had a miscarriage prior to my 2 kids. And so I was pregnant for a long time. And my body was going through so many changes over those 2.5 years. And after those 2 C-sections, especially because when you are pregnant, your muscles in your abdomen, they have to separate so baby has space, right? And I remember, and then ideally, and this isn't the case for I don't want to say some or most, but for some women, what happens is called diastasis recti. And you'll see women get a mommy makeover because they've been doing all of the workouts and all whatever way they want to feel good in their body, right? But their belly is still hanging, right? And that can be, I'm not saying, I'm not a doctor, but typically that's from diastasis recti. Personally, I had I barely had it. It thankfully, well, for me, I'm just talking for myself. Thankfully it all came back together, the abdominal muscle. I actually say thankfully because it's not just for the vanity reasons that I'm thankful. It's also because your abdomen, like your abdominal muscles, are protecting vital organs. So behind your abdominal wall is your liver, which is one of the biggest organs in your body, which helps with metabolism, filtering out like all the yuckies, right? We have your liver, your pancreas, you have your intestine, like you have all of these things, your appendix behind your abdominal muscles. So if your abdominal muscles are unable to come back, that can be detrimental to your organs. So it's not just like a vanity thing that I'm like, oh, thank God they came back. I'm saying this for my actual health, right? So with that, after I had like I said, my kids are Irish twins, very close in age, but I had a midwife. Shout out to having a midwife. Even though I did have C-sections, I had a midwife, and that was one of the best things I could have done for me as a woman that was pregnant, as a Black woman that was pregnant. And after I had them during the 6-week appointment, they were like, okay, they made sure to cover my mental health. And they're like, we're also going to write you a referral for physical therapy. I didn't know this is where the video was going to go, but I just want to give backstory as to why I'm so passionate about strength training, and not strength training in the typical way of like, yeah, let's squat and like, bro. No, like women way. Okay. All right. But, so I say that to say, she's like, let's write a referral for you for physical therapy. And I was like, that's interesting, because as a registered nurse, I know physical therapy, and it's definitely within the past, I want to say within the past like 5 or so years. And it may be because I don't know, but I feel like physical therapists are definitely showing up online more to talk about things such as pelvic floor therapy. And so that's what she referred me to get, because I was like, why are you sending me a physical therapist? I thought physical therapy was for people that had a stroke or got in a car accident, like those type of things. And she was like, Lesline, you just gave birth. Giving birth is just as traumatic. And it was traumatic because I did not have a natural birth. I had to go into the hospital and be cut open. So she was like, you had a traumatic birth the same way that somebody, God forbid, gets in a car accident and they have to rehab themselves, is the same way you as a postpartum need to rehab your pelvic floor. And when she said that, I was like, why aren't more people talking about this? Especially once I started talking with other women, and other women will say things such as, and this is strength, this is where strength training come in. They say things like, oh, every time I sneeze, I leak. That is not normal. I'm going to say that again. You might hear your mom, your grandma, your auntie be like, yeah, girl, every time I sneeze, I leak. That is not normal. That is not normal, okay? Yes, there are exceptions to the rule. Yes, if you have something that has, you have been diagnosed by a medical provider, I'm not talking to you. I'm talking about you, like you had, a couple of kids, right? And you're leaking still, like kid is now 4 or 5 years old. That is not normal. That means that your pelvic floor muscles are weak, and there is a way to rehab them through seeing a physical therapist. So I saw a physical therapist postpartum. I cry excuse. Okay, my mom be saying that. What I'm saying is I would leave work early, right? It was like 6 weeks. I went, I think, like 1 or 2 times a week. It was at least once a week. Had the physical therapist. I would go into the office. It was in person. And I say this because at time of recording, it is March 30th, 2026. March is almost over. And also, just a little commercial break. This is day 53 or 54 of 100 days straight of YouTube. We're almost there. We're halfway there. And I'm on my way to feel... I think I'm combining. I'm doing a medley. I don't know. But I did that physical therapy, and I followed what she said. I did stuff. So I would do this stuff in office, and then she gave me these, I don't know if I can say this like on YouTube, but she gave me these adult toys that because that was something else. And this is something I want more women that have C-section to talk more about, because even though my kids did not come out of me vaginally through the vaginal canal, the weight of them, because they were very, very healthy, like kids, very weighed well, like 7-8 pounds. I forget the ounces, but they were 7 to 8 pounds, both of them. That weight weighs down on your pelvic floor. And then I remember, this is a little TMI, but I remember my my vaginal walls were sore. And I was like, that's weird, because nothing came out of there. And I listened to the doctor, and we did not, do adult, what is Duran Bernard, who somebody calls it, we did not have adult fellowship, none of that, right? Like within the 6 weeks, because you're not supposed to. But I remember like peeing, and it hurt a little bit. And so that was all the other reason, like during that 6-week appointment, when you go, and that's why you have to go, and you have to say everything that is wrong with you. Everything. Even if you're like, I've never heard anybody say that my left earlobe hurts postpartum, you need to tell the provider, because they are clinically trained to know what the signs and symptoms. And I don't think that's tied to anything. But what I'm saying is, I remember telling them that. And then that was also a reason why they're like, yeah, physical therapy, right? And so I would do like the crunches with the physical therapist, and like, what other things so anyway, going back to the adult toys. So she gave me these like different size adult toys, and she's like, every night, either you or your husband, like, you're gonna have to insert to just reacclimate your vaginal canal to how it was prior. That also helped with like, so you know how people do like Kegels? It was helping with that, right? So my pelvic floor, y'all, tight. It's tight. And so that's one way that I restarted my physical, my strength training journey, was working on my pelvic floor first. And that's just a tip for you. If you were a woman that has given birth, like, start with your pelvic floor first, because it is all connected. It's all, because if you have a weak pelvic floor, it will be harder for you to build core, and then it's going to be hard. Like, you just have to think like your pelvic floor is the foundation, right? And it's going to be harder too, because everything's like, when you do we're going to get into like different exercises, right? Bicep curls, or I forget what this is called, but we're going to get into, where you just have the 2-pound weight and then you lift it up, right? Both of them at the same time, like doing those kind of movements, that also requires your core, even with 2-pound weights, because as you build, because you will, as you build to heavier weights, you're gonna see that oh my gosh, what's the word? But the technique that you have in lifting, like how you format your body, that's not the right way I'm trying to say it, but how you bring the belly button towards the spine, bring the rib cage down, roll the shoulders up, back, and down. All of that, the alignment that you have, breathing in through your nose, out as you push up, you need to start doing that from 2-pound so you can safely lift for years to come. So I explained to you personal story. We went through all of that. I have like a script, so I stay on the straight and narrow. And yeah, so just start, right? You don't need to start heavy. I want you to start at 2 pounds. Get 2-pound weights off of Amazon. I'll do my best to link dumbbells that you can just buy and get those delivered instantaneously right to your door. And also, so yeah, when I say light weights, this is what I mean. You see how I'd be like wanting to go 5 million ways. 2-pound weights, 3-pound weights, dumbbells, okay? So dumbbells are like the typical weights that you see. You can also do wrist or ankle weights. So if you're somebody like, you have a full life and you're like, I don't have time at this time to do strength training and cardio, so you want to instead on your daily walk add weights to maybe your ankles, and then maybe you add them to your wrist, and then maybe you don't do that and you do a weighted vest. Weighted vests are really, really trendy right now, and they actually are really great. Shout out to a good friend of mine who's also a fellow content creator, Nikki Morris. She be talking about those weighted vests. Like she loves those things. I have yet to try it, but she says it's amazing. So if you're on the fence about it, I'm actually considering getting a weighted vest soon, because I'm just like, I want to see, right? So weighted vest is another weight that you can start with. And what's cool, I learned this from my friend Nikki, with the content she posts, that it like they put like sandbag type of thing, so you could like remove all of the bags and just add one and build yourself up. So we talked about how you could incorporate your weights in your everyday movement. And so we talked about that. We talked about weighted vests. So now let's talk about simple dumbbell exercises that you can do at home, because maybe you are intimidated by even just going outside to do your workout. Like, you don't want anybody to look at you. And I get it. I primarily work out in my garage closed. Like, I make it like a sauna in there personally. And sometimes I do go to like a local gym every now and again. I actually did go last week, and it felt nice to go somewhere because I work from home and work out and be in community with people. But if you're like, girl, I'm not there yet, especially if you're like, I don't want to look stupid, you're not going to look stupid. You're already watching this video, so you care about yourself. So you can build a full routine with just a pair of light dumbbells. You want to start simple, not perfect, not fancy, just consistent. I don't know if the script is going to say this, but I encourage you to strength train at least 3 times a week, okay? 3 times a week. And right now, I recommend, let's start small, 5 minutes. So if you can do 5 minutes of weights 3 times a week, golden, and we build from there. And if you need help with like accountability on this, or you have further questions and you would like my support, I do have my own 12-week health program where we go more in depth in this. So these are some foundational movements that you can start incorporating. Bicep curls, this is for the upper body. Shoulder presses is also upper body. Lateral raises, those ones, my shoulders are pretty defined. Actually, someone gave me a compliment this week and they're like, okay, shoulders. And it's because I've been doing these lateral raises, right? Tricep extensions, I forget how that looks, but tricep extensions is another upper body. Lower body, goblet squats. So if you want the booty to be fatter, you got to do your squats, right? And also, here's a little tip. Suck your belly in. If you just bring that belly button towards the spine, the ass will be fatter. All right. So goblet squats, lunges, forward and reverse, I will say. It says and reverse is what I'm going to say. Those lunges, every time I do lunges, I think about like being in the airport with my 2 bags. Deadlifts. Deadlifts, I am still getting better at those. Deadlifts they're good. Full body. I've seen this. I saw this recently. And I saw my friend Nikki do this as well. Farmer's carry. So farmer's carry is where you're just holding the weights. This is actually a really good one to do. Hold the weights and just walk around. So that's why they call it farmer's carry, because farmers typically are carrying heavy things and they're walking long distances. So you just hold the weights. And I want to put this here. When it comes, and there's also, I'm going to try my best to link that down below as well. Even before you pick up a 2-pound weight, I want you to work on your grip strength. Your grip strength is so important. That is something else that as we get older, we lose if you don't work it. For example, maybe opening a jar is becoming more challenging as you are getting older. And one way that you can improve this is before you're like, oh my gosh, maybe I have arthritis or whatever. Again, I'm not a doctor, but we go to the worst. Like, oh my gosh, do I have arthritis? What's inflamed? And and it could be inflammation too, right? So that's why diet and those type of things are important to minimize inflammation in your body. But what I'm getting at is use a grip strength trainer. I'm going to leave that down below, but it's literally this, it looks like a wrench, if you will, and you just squeeze it and you squeeze it and you squeeze it. You start doing that with the grip strength trainer before you pick up a weight, because talking about the farmer's carry, sometimes when I hold weights, I notice, and so I did, and I'll leave these linked down below. I did purchase recently like gloves, because I get callus, because I also do hanging as well with with my hang bar. And I noticed that my hands will get callous, and I'm just a girl. Like, yes, I lift, but I am just a girl and I want my hands to stay pretty. So, but also with the gloves, it helps grip. So that's help. But then add to that, doing the gripper thing will really help make that you can completely wrap your hand around the weight. Like you should be able to like be like this, right? Make a nice fist. So even just do that right now. Can you properly make a fist, right? Wrap that thumb. Like, can you properly do that with your hand and squeeze it to the point where you put indentation in your hand? Like, I want you to do that before you buy the grip strength trainer. Then when you work on the grip strength trainer, and do that a couple times a day, you just be doing it sitting at your desk, right? Then pick up the 2-pound weight and hold it, right? Maybe just hold it up like this. And you don't have to squeeze the weight for dear life, but just have a nice grip around the weight, because that in itself can be the reason you might be intimidated with lifting weights. All right, we got to wrap up because this video can only be 20 to 30 minutes and we're at the 20-minute mark. So I told you, okay, farmer's carry, that's full body. Step ups is another full body strength training activity. Sit to stand with weights is another one. Personally, I love, the one that I love to do the most for lower body is goblet squats. Those are like good, because I do have a good lower half. And as women, we typically have more on the bottom, right? Okay, so why strength training matters, especially for women 25 to 35. This isn't just about aesthetics. And, yes, let it be about aesthetics. You young, okay? Let it be about aesthetics, but it's deeper than that. It's about long-term health, okay? Research over the past few years has consistently shown that strength training in women improves bone density. And I actually did a whole video because I am a Peloton user at time of recording, and I'll link it below, where I talk about how oh my gosh, is it the CEO? Yeah, he did a shareholder letter or stakeholder. I get it confused. But he did a shareholder letter where he shared how strength training, sleep, those type of things are so important. But strength training was one of the topics in his letter. So strength training improves bone density, reducing future osteoporosis risk. What I currently do for work as a nurse remotely, all I see when I read records is older people falling and breaking their hips. It's really bad, y'all. And I'm not saying, it's because they didn't lift, but lift. It just makes you stronger, and not for the sake of, it's not going to make you bulky. It's not. It supports your metabolic health. It preserves muscle mass as we age and improves insulin sensitivity. So if you are somebody like me, I am more at risk for type 2 diabetes because my mom has type 2 diabetes. That is really the reason too I be lifting. It supports your mental health and mood regulation. Okay, so what else here? Yeah, so if you are in that 25 to 35 range, this is your learning window. I feel like a lot of what I'm hearing, because I am on the cusp, I'm going to be 35 this year, and a lot of what I'm hearing is perimenopause and those kind of things. And I feel like people, is the phrase damage control, but I'm not saying it's too late, because it's not. I just saw a man on Instagram who's 70 plus years old, and he's learning how to jump up on those big boxes. It is never too late, but you are so much better to take advantage of this age that you're at, 25 to 35, and use it as your learning window. There's no pressure because you're so young. You literally can bounce right back there. And it's not about perfection. You are learning in this window of time. This is where you learn proper form. Form was the word I was trying to remember, y'all. Learn what your body responds to. Learn how to rest, learn how to adjust, because you'll notice as you get older, especially if you're a young woman between 25 to 35 and you do not have kids, start strength training from now, that your abdominal muscles will snap back. They will, because you have prepped your body before giving birth. Women that strength train prior are less likely to develop diastasis recti because they have really strong abdominal muscles, okay? So do that now. Do that now, and not for the sake of snapback. Remember what I talked about in the beginning, for the sake of the safety of those vital organs that live behind your abdominal wall. Because what also can happen is things like, hernias, okay? When there's protrusion of the belly button or any part of the abdominal area, and then organs can kind of it can get really weird, okay? And I don't want that for you. So strengthen up. Strengthen up. I know snapback has gotten a really bad rap, but you want the snapback for your safety, your abdominal health. All right? So, yeah. And also, as a young woman between 25 to 35, you don't want to, like, at this age, you're in the learning window, and we don't want to start from confusion. We want to start move from familiarity. What does this look like as we almost close? I told you all, before kids, I worked out regularly. I ran 2 half marathons before I had my kids. I had a personal trainer to help me with one of my marathons. I had a personal trainer years, like right after I left high school. I've always just been very active. And so I have that familiarity, man, that word, of, oh, this is how weight feels in my body. Oh, I know if I run this amount, like I'm gonna feel like this. Like nothing is really a surprise. And so it helps. So then when I do have lulls, life is ebbs and flows, right? When I do have times where I am not working out, like, I gave birth, right? When I come back, and I remember that, I was telling my husband this the other day, after giving birth to my kids, and I was like, okay, I got cleared 6 weeks or whatnot, and I was doing the physical therapy in tandem with doing home workouts. I was doing bird dogs, I was doing crunches, I was doing like all the, and I'm actually gonna make a video, let me know if you would like it, of postpartum. I actually have that. Anyways, but those are the things that I was doing to rehab my muscles. So let's close this out. This is not about becoming a gym person. It's about becoming a woman who trusts her body. That's the biggest thing, especially with weights as a woman, when you're like, oh my gosh, like I did that. Like I lifted a 10-pound weight. I lifted a 2, like start where you are, right? You are stronger than you think. What else? Yeah, so this is about becoming a woman who trusts her body, who knows how to support it, who knows how to adapt when life changes, because it will. And when it does, strength won't feel foreign to you. Ooh, it will not. It will feel good. It will feel empowering strength. It will feel like something you know how to return to. And it's like this feeling, you just always want it. You want to be strong. Like I tell you now that I know I'm more strong, I'm stronger than ever. That's the motivation for me to continue to lift, as well as I want to be, with my kids, God willing, as long as I can. I don't want to be a burden on my kids. I don't want to be a burden on myself. That's the biggest thing, right? And so if you've been waiting to start, let this be your permission to keep it simple. Lift the weights today, do a few movements, and pay attention to how your body responds. And then, come back again tomorrow. And yeah, that's it. That's all. That was an awkward ending, but I really hope this video encouraged you. You watched 30 minutes of it, so I know you're about to go lift those weights, and I will see you in the next video. Bye for now.